Thank you. So hi, how's your how's your week going? So kind of a low key kickoff right now. So so I'm gonna read a little bit from chapter 4 in the first hub, the themes, and and um and talk a little bit about how today marks 1 week from when I will be completely dedicating myself to all things Parinama. And what that means is right now I have some professional engagements which, I've incorporated Parinama, um, but also, are not necessarily part of the direction that I want to, I see this going in. So yeah, as of next week, it's pretty exciting. It feels completely right to dedicate myself to this. So I've been doing insight interviews with folks, and we're getting to the place where there are people who've finished the book, which if you have the book, you realize is quite the accomplishment. And those folks are now at a place where they want to know what's next. So that has been, um, an impetus for me. Like in an inspiration. It's hard to get to the end of the book. It surprises me that people are getting through it quick, like, and because right now I'd say that this means that somebody's read it in about 3 months, which I think is pretty extraordinary. As we're doing in these sessions is reading it, together out loud. And right now we're at month 3 because I started this in January. And granted, we're not doing. I mean, it's like my pacing is really more about like showing up when it's possible right now with my other, um, like my like I don't know what the word is for it, like all the other stuff I have to do. But soon it's gonna shift, and I'm really looking forward to dedicating myself fully to this and serving it. And so back to the insight interviews, I've been having conversations with folks, both readers and non-readers, because part of what I'm working to understand is who do I focus best on serving with what I'm going with what I'm about to build. And and so one thing I'll say is that there's, I've kind of divided the Parinamaverse as I know it right now into 3 different types of people who are interacting with it. And it is less to do with demographics and more to do with how they are approaching um, this work. So what I'd like to say, so the reason I'm bringing this up is that if you would be interested or willing to have a conversation, it's time with me one-on-one that you get, and also, you get a little, I think the conversations wind up having some incremental value, but mostly what I'm looking for is so asking some questions and listening. And it's been fantastic so far. So please, like in the comments, if you are interested, put in a note, or if you know how to contact me directly, please do that. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, it's a little low key right now. Like my energy's kind of like, been kind of chill in these last couple weeks. And that's part of why I'd wanted to do these lives, was to kind of track this experience, because like my knowledge of on the back end of my other commitments, and being aware even that things that like the commitments right now that are, like kind of, high yield in terms of, things that pay well for a little bit of work, or that I enjoy, that are relatively easy for me. Even things that are, yeah, just, I mean, there's a wide range of things. And it's just been really interesting to track the impact of different activities, the difference between my notion of how easy it should be, relative to my understanding of like the demands of it and the relative like rewards I get for doing it, and watching how it affects me. So, and energetically, like how tired I get, how drained I get, how like certain things crowd out my ability to do the things I really want to be focusing on. It's been interesting. And so for me, this is like there's a bit of a video diary component to this too. Um just letting this play out. And so, so in the month of April, I'm really going to be, switching gears and building um some of the framework for making Parinama a more like supported, like like a more supported methodology, I guess. And it'll take a while. I think this is one of the things, if there's anything I've learned, is that there's a process, and it just takes time to build this stuff. But my commitment to this is to keep showing up, certainly here in the YouTube space, but to begin building out more kind of, like more facets to this, because it's really impactful and people are having some really extraordinary experiences with it. So I feel like we're in the right place right now to shift gears and start bringing this out into the world. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very appreciative of you watching this, and this has been, yeah, it's been a bit of a kind of freestyle rant that I didn't even see coming. But so true to my commitment to do some reading here. Here I want to do a little bit here. Like we're gonna jump in the themes, and the first one here on page 63 is physical boundary. And just to kind of, sort of do a like last time on Parinama method, one of the things about the first hub, and one of the reasons I think it's actually a really good place to start, regardless of what you're wanting to focus on, is the surprising impact of any type of interruption with a sense of physical security. And like the flip side of the first hub is, like what we recognize like fear and anxiety. But I had a teacher, a meditation teacher, that sort of taught me that like all things fear related are kind of fear of death, and death being really a very physical type of, like phenomenon. So that the physicality and our sense within our bodies is really this like a really critical part of like how we're the underlying tone of how we're operating in the world, how fearful we are. It kind of plays into things, and the more that we investigate it, the more there's the opportunity to see places where capacity can be expanded in ways that can be extraordinary. And I think that as I read from my notebook, which I still have sitting right here, that there's like one of the things about a lot of um, the patterns and the programming in us in each of the hubs is that they create the way that we respond to things. So they're reflexes. They create our like sense of what the world is, and as a result of that, they create how it sort of creates how things feel. And when things feel a certain way, it feels really true. And so it's like you have this cycle of belief systems, like so this patterning creates reflexive responses, and like so these create feelings, and these feelings validate like our belief about like how the world operates and how the world works. So part of what we're doing here, and why the first hub is so important, is coming into our physicality and building like the felt sense of physical trust, the felt sense of the ground of boundary, the felt sense of consistency, and bringing that into a like a feeling experience, and even having it as a tool to use when, like when our capacity is being challenged, when we're being really activated in this hub. So I'm going to read a little bit. And I mean, it's interesting. Like I'm almost at 10 minutes and I haven't read anything. Um, so like one of the things someone that I was talking with, really great insight, was about how people actually like long form content. And I'd been feeling really self-conscious about this. Um, and now that I'm actually consuming more long form content, I kind of get it. But I will say that what I welcome from you is any of your thoughts about, like kind of what works and what doesn't. Because, my goal isn't necessarily to like validate. Like what makes me feel good is that this serves you. Like that, like if it feels really good for me to express this, but the part that feels good is the notion that this is something that like we're connecting. And so how I can better connect with you is very meaningful for me. So all right, I'll dip in here. So themes in physical boundary. What's one other thing? This is like kind of like it's like we'll get to it. But one thing, it's like this morning I drank my coffee in this cup. And this was like actually while I was writing the book. So this is a mug that has the Archangel Michael, Saint Michael. Um, and so when I was writing the book, I ordered some mugs. They were just like pretty. And with my mug order, there came two boxes. One was the mugs I ordered, and the other was this unordered box of two of these mugs. And one of them was this mug, and the other was this mug, but broken. And and I just remember, it actually felt kind of confronting. And when I initially read about, like, I actually took the mugs, I like put them outside of my space because it freaked me out. Because when I just like Googled Saint Michael, it was like this like law and order for religious doctrine was the first thing that came up, and it really scared me. Like it had this kind of like confronting thing. But the more I've come to learn about what Saint Michael represents, in a deeper context beneath like sort of like religious indoctrination stuff and like fighting for like against like Satan and all these like kind of law and order kind of things, is that it's like a warrior and a protector. And it's like I think the first mention is like 3 BC. It's like kind of an ancient notion, but like, and that now is why Saint Michael is inside my house and I have more. It's part of the narrative here. But yeah, a warrior and a protector. And I think that I think one of the things that like from a like divine notion is that what with Parinama method, with any like practice associated with this, is that I think there's these notions that transcending and actualization makes us kind of like softer and sweeter. So it's like and like it's like one of those things, like if you like form boundaries with somebody or you're assertive with somebody that's stepping over yours, they like I remember when I was doing a lot of yoga, they would say like, that's not very yoga of you, and if there's anything that I've learned in Parinama, it has made me a lot more like a lot less like sort of palatable in this like old sense of being like really yogic and being really like accepting in this particular way that allows my boundaries to be crossed, where it's like I'm actually accepting with stronger boundaries. So I actually have like more love for people, more compassion, but like yes, and I guess, and I like, but there's also like a warrior and a protector in me about what I stand for and the importance of representing that as as a leader and as just even a person living a life, as a leader to myself, is to trust myself in my ability to uphold those boundaries. So it's like the kind of doughy-eyed, kind of soft talking idea that that's what, like a transcendence looks like is not really what, like what sort of, it's not what, I'm advocating for and I speak for here. And as a and so, so once again, Saint Michael here is here with us today. So all right, so I'm going to read. Yeah, right? You're beginning to probably consider that that wasn't going to happen, but aha, I promise. All right, so themes, physical boundary. All right, yeah. Okay. In our early years, our caretakers do their best to help us grow and may believe that because they are responsible for us, we belong to them. But the body you are born into is sovereign. You are the sole owner of all it contains. Throughout your life, you will live with and love family, friends, community, and intimate relationships. And still, your body is yours. A newborn baby is a soft and delicate miracle. Everyone who surrounds a birth gets a contact high from the magic of new life. The inclination of delicately wrap it in loose blankets is counterintuitive to the fact that snugly swaddling the tiny body helps a baby feel the safety of containment within its physical boundary. The self advocacy of caring for our body through awareness and enforcement of physical boundaries is part of adult functioning. The only reasonable time to expect to be cared for without verbally communicating our needs was when we were pre-verbal. Expecting others to intuit and or anticipate our needs and punish any shortfalls with anger or withdrawal can be related to the needs of the first hub. Again, infants experience their body as bonded and merged with mother or a primary caregiver. If this early experience of deep safety is not fulfilling and internalized, we may be fixated on achieving warm, dark, zoned out states as adults. It's kind of interesting. I feel like it's like there's a theme. There's certainly a theme. Well, it's under the themes. There's kind of 2 points here. And like, it like 2 points. It's like three paragraphs, 2 points. And so like what I want to hop back is to the sovereignty of a physical body. And even right now, I think a growing consciousness around this, one way this shows up is like maladapted as parents who tend to even like so for children, like there was something I saw on the internet where, you know, I'm trying to remember where I saw it, so much internet. Is that, a father was saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna kiss and hug you goodnight," and the child said, "You have to ask for permission," and, the father's outraged by that. Um, who was it? I really wanna shout out the person who where I saw that from. And the fact that we came up in these notions that our bodies kind of belong to our parents, to schools, to, like whatever institutions, to like our religions, that, even adults, just the adults, that it's like if adult hugs you, if adult touches you, it's like that's absolutely, like that you're just not in the position to define what that is. I certainly grew up that way. And I remember feeling like my skin crawl, not even that the people were, you know, like I was like reading anything off of them, just the sense that it was like my own, just the sense that it was like there's something just not right about it. But there was no words because at that time it was like absolutely unthinkable that that could actually be true. But I think the thing too is like this turns into something where parents say like, I carried you for, mothers say, I carried you for 9 months, or, I raised you, I put a roof over your head, all this kind of stuff. And, it's back to the Khalil Gibran, quote many people are familiar with, which is that, our children don't belong to us. They're sort of coming through the universe into the world. Because if you think about yourself, and this is probably going to come up in this reading, like, so it's like typical, I talk about it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's in here, so I could have just kept reading. But it's like, I think a good touch point is like how you feel about your own self, right? It's like, do you feel like somebody that belongs to others, and does that feel like it's within integrity, like it's like that's like kind of correct? So something to just think about. But anyway, also just that the kind of the boundary of our physicality is something that is like like being like one of the things about anxiety, and even just like the sense of being scattered or overwhelmed, it tends to feel either like, like one version of that is, it's like it's hard to like really ground. And it feels like, the analogy is a guitar string which is plucked and it's kind of everywhere and nowhere. So this is like this notion of like coming into like like your physical experience, and really just consciously reclaiming that notion that like the physical body is actually like, this is like that is like it's yours, and everything in it is yours. And for me, that was a big breakthrough. So in sharing that. Okay. So teens and adults with short and long-term disabilities who need physical assistance require the dignity of their physical boundary to be respected. When caretakers don't ask permission or have not established trust, their caretaking can be an invasion. And any unwanted touch, especially by force, is profoundly damaging to this essential foundation of physical security. A boundary is crossed by unwanted hugging, close talking, or a handshake that lingers a little too long. Many of us were raised without this understanding and received unwanted hugs and or touch from adults in medical examinations without consent, or were pinched, prodded, and grabbed by other children. I mean, I think that, so this is something I could probably talk a lot, like as far as interviews for the book, there was a lot that went into this. And I think one of the things, as far as that physical boundary that's like a justification, is that it's being done, so the idea of invading it by doing it like by being well intentioned. So it's either like, well, I love you, right? It's kind of like, well, I love you. And the other is that you're doing it to like for a person's physical well-being. And so, so this is where I think a lot of the kind of like ripple rationalization plays out, which is that it's like, well, like what like it's out of care, it's out of good intent, and it's for your good. It's like it's for your own good or whatever. um so it's like that. I think that's one of the notions that like sort of even creates a like begins to create the grayness around the boundary about the boundaries. So there's something for contemplation, no doubt. So all right. So the first step to establishing our physical boundary is to bring awareness to it. Awareness, observation, and enforcement of the physical boundary leads to greater inner security and confidence with boundaries of the other hubs. See chapter 2. When our boundary is broken, we feel uncomfortable, but sometimes question ourselves about the validity of that feeling. The rule is simple. If you feel uncomfortable, it's not right for you. Keep in mind that overt abuse isn't the only breaker of the physical boundary. Hugging and or touching people who are not 100% okay with it is inappropriate. So don't do it. And if you don't want to be touched or hugged, you can simply say so. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like one of the things I think it's really common with this is like feeling the arising sort of counterforce of certainly like, like social conditioning, um, kind of makes us seem like it's being really uptight, or just like unreasonable. So it's like that's also something to contemplate here. You know, so folks who don't understand boundaries will protest and resist us when we try to enforce them. Boundary invaders are often unconscious abusers, and if they don't respect your requests, it's best to create distance or cut ties altogether. One of the hallmarks of a healthy physical boundary is the ability to say when we've had enough of an unfulfilling relationship or situation. But if we still crave the merging and connection of the first hub, we may subconsciously fear potential loss and separation if we draw the line. Enough is hard to understand if there's a deep need to be held and attended to, coupled with a fear that we don't deserve more or that we'll experience alienation if we don't gratefully take what is offered, regardless of its quality. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, the thing, like one of the things about this is also lends itself to second hub, which is, which is the relationship with our feelings and it really being like able to be a final word on the matter of something like how something feels for us, being able to make decisions off of that without it being just actually more an exercise of second guessing whether the feeling is even like real or not. It's kind of like, yes, this feeling is real, and then kind of evaluating it in the context of the situation. Seems kind of like the same thing, but maybe I'm not describing it well, but different. All right. Another sign of a healthy physical boundary is not apologizing when your body needs to get through tight quarters. There should be no "I'm sorry" for existing and taking up space. We should say "excuse me" or "pardon me" to people who are oblivious to seeing that they need to move. Then saying "thank you" will feel more appropriate as we step by someone in our way. So, a new rule: only apologize for making a mistake. Your body and existence are not mistakes. Your body is a container, and without container and containment, we feel perpetually exhausted, often without understanding why. For many people, experiencing the physical boundary is a simple yet astonishing practice. The techniques and exercises below help bring the sensation of boundary into your body. Yeah. Yeah, and as I've discussed with people, and actually it's come up a few times this week, is that with this book, it's like I read this and I still am like, okay, yeah, that's kind of what's happening to me right now. It's good kind of reminder there. I'm gonna read one more section and I'm gonna wrap it up. Yeah, this one's long form content. Here we go. All right. So, solid ground. Judith writes, and this is Anadea Judith, the author. Um, Many people who cannot find their true path in life have simply not yet found their ground. Sometimes they're busy looking up instead of down where the feet meet the path. Solid ground is a calming and energizing feeling that's reliable and consistent. Even though falling will hurt, the ground always catches us. When we sit and lie down, it welcomes us with a subtle, profound, nurturing support of consistently and predictably holding us. How connected you are to this. My eyes. I need to wear my glasses next time. Okay, how connected are you to this solidity? If you're seated, pay attention to the bottoms of your feet. Are they planted on the ground, or are they on tiptoe, or perhaps with sides down but insoles and toes elevated? Adjust your body and place both feet on the floor. All right, let's do it. I had one that was on the side. Bringing attention to the bottoms of them, and notice how it feels. My own first impactful revelation for Parinama method came from gaining awareness when I brought attention to my feet. We savor the sensation of bare feet in the grass and our toes in the sand. These experiences feel good and relax us because we are part of the natural world. In addition to the physical grounding, the surrounding nature soothes us as we connect to the land, plants, animals, and sky. In the techniques and exercises below, I discuss the practices of charging and discharging using the physical ground and the Japanese practice of Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing. The physical connection to solid earth and consciousness of it and let's see, the physical connection to solid earth and consciousness of the effect it has on us. There we go. And of the relationship we have with it gives us a place to find deep comfort within ourselves. It's simple and profound. When we're in contact with the ground and we push down into it, the counteraction is a sensation of wanting to rise upward. A paradox of this hub is that pushing down prompts upward extension of the spine and body, of a movement that embodies power, which I will discuss in the third hub. To rise, we need our feet on solid ground. Yeah. Yeah, there's like a really easy one I could read, but I'm going to stick with and wrap it up. But yeah. Yep. Ground. Yeah, the thing is in the techniques and exercises going a little deeper into this, which is actually I'm going to say something different about this, which is that I've found that many folks are like have a like intuitive leaning into the techniques and exercises for the hubs that are like that they really want to be reconciling. And I think there's something really profound about that, where you see people saying like, I'm really surprised by how into nature I am, and even just like different practices. And I think one of the things with Parinama method is what we're doing. So actually consciously reclaiming, we're connecting those actions with the like the somatic undertones and what they represent in terms of our lived conscious experience. So yeah so I'm going to take a deep breath in here and an exhale, and just bring some attention to my feet on the ground, just thinking a little bit about the boundary of my body, bring that into my day, which is back to the Peter Levine notion that everything that's happening is like emanating from a felt experience within your body. So please like this video if you are interested in doing an insight conversation. People tend to love them. And I would love to do one with you. Let me know. And let's see, anything else? I think that's it. But I'm really looking forward to next week, jumping in and going deeper with you. So can't wait. Thank you so much for coming along. I'll see you next time. Bye.